up, everyone? It is your girl GELBEAUTY 87 here, aka Grace. Today we're gonna get into my Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. So this literally landed on my doorstep today after I took Adriangameover to go get a haircut. So I was like, it's time to bust it on out. I literally filmed the video yesterday of the Thompson Retro Glam bundle, so we're gonna show that in this video as well. I have some clips comparing it to the mini retro palette as well, so I'll insert those in here as well as in the video with the Thompson palette. I'm trying to decide if I should do a battle of the Thompson palette with this palette in here, but this retails for $69. I'm pretty sure the price went up. This is what she looks like on the inside. As you can see, it has more of a grungy-ish kind of feel to it with the pinks and the greens. I feel like we don't see this type of neutral from Natasha. We see more of this type of neutral from Mother when it comes to lots of pinks and mauves. So it was nice to see her switch it up. I mean, I know we have the retro palette. I'm about to show it now alongside this palette. So this is retro against retro glam. Now, if y'all remember, I don't have glam. I don't like the fact she tried to name the shades and try to force me to use them where she felt like it, because that's what it felt like to me. I was like the late grade Mel Thompson with that. Like, don't censor me. Don't tell me where to put it. I put it where the hell I feel like. I paid you this $65, so I'll put it wherever the hell I feel like. Anyway, as you can see, they don't have any sort of comparison, which is why people were mad. I have the little mini retro palette as well. I was going to do a review on it, but then I was like, do y'all even really care enough for me to do one? So I'm going to show that alongside this palette, just because it's here, we're here. Everyone's here, you know the drill. So here's the mini retro. Like I told one of you all in my comment section of my video about another palette, they still had this in a bundle on Sephora with a whole bunch of other stuff, but I just bought mine off somebody who sold the individual palette for like 16 bucks, which I thought was good considering the palette cost 19, and I think she gave free shipping, so it was a deal, and I was like, sure, why not? I'll hold it up against the original retro palette too, because why not? It's here, we're here. Again, everyone's here, so we're just gonna, you know, continue on. So here's the retro baby alongside the actual retro palette. So as you can see, some of the colors look like they could possibly be similar. If you want a separate video on this, just let me know and I can do it over the weekend, because I got like 4 or 5 eyeshadow verses to film this weekend. In addition to, I want to do a palette rewind of the Star Wars palette, just in case anybody was interested in getting their hands on it, to do another video with it, to be able to make more content with it. But if y'all not interested in it, that's fine. Next, let's show the slide, the mini retro palette. I actually dropped this when I went to go take the video of these for Instagrams tomorrow, the retro palette. So I pressed it in. I'm hoping it'll stay. It's the pink shade at the top there, the light one. It cracked out of the pan, but here's what they look like side by side. I feel like none of the shades in here look similar, or if they do, they're just slightly closer, not exact, which is good, because it's like she usually does, where the mini and the full size of the midi don't look the same, so I'm happy about that. Next, I have the Nearly Natural palette from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. If y'all know, I love Glaminatrix. They actually just mailed out my Glamorous palette. I've done a video on the Nocturnal palette and a video on their Silent Night palette, which was their Christmas palette for last year. So I'm wondering what their Christmas palette for this year is going to be. I'm definitely interested, but here's what it looks like side by side. So this does have some greens in it, but it has more of the berry tones. So it's like their version of retro with just a couple of greens mixed into it. In my personal opinion, I'll show those side by side in a second. So it's here, we're here, everyone's here. But it has like one purple shade, it has a couple of olive greens, and it has a lot of the tones that you'll find in the, what do you call it, palette? The original retro palette. So I'm just switching back and forth between retro and retro glam right now, just to give you ideas, just in case you own retro and you want to see comparisons of other things. So here's retro against Nearly Natural. As you can see, it has a lot of those berry tones that's in here, but like I told you, there's a purple and like a couple of greens that you would find perhaps in the retro glam. So to me, this is a mixture of retro glam and just the retro palette itself. So that's what both of those look like. Let's move on to the next palette. So I'm going to show the Blend Bunnies All Done Up palette. I feel like it looks like it could be a darker, fun, grungier version of retro glam for people my skin tone who might not be able to use everything in retro glam, which was my concern about buying this palette. I'm like, is this gonna work for me that well? But here's what they look like side by side. I think they look pretty nice. That's what it looked like. To me, this is just a fun, grungier version of that palette with some additional shades to it. But I have a review on this palette. I think I have a review on just about every palette I'm showing except for one palette, and it's the palette I'm about to show right now. And it's not exactly close to this one, but I figured it was here and we were here. I feel like this one will actually go better with the retro palette, so I'm gonna show it alongside the retro palette, because again, if you have retro, you might not have wanted retro glam, or if you wanted retro glam, I'm showing some options from other brands about retro glam and retro. So here is the leather and lace from Ensley Cosmetics alongside the retro palette. As you can see, it has that bottom row that's similar, and then the rest of the colors don't necessarily match, but to me this is like a grungier version of the retro glam palette, because you got to think about it. It has like those greens, and then it has the various tone shades that are in the original retro palette. So this could be a grungy retro glam, and then you just have like some neutrals down the middle if you're not into these berry tones that much and you don't wear greens that often. So that's why I wanted to put it in here as an option. It's just an option. I'll show it against retro glam, even though I feel like they have no, you know, comparisons whatsoever, and there's no real purpose. But y'all know how I am. It's here, we're here, everyone's here, so we're doing it. Thank you so much. So here's retro glam in this one. As you can see, like I said, to me these colors are more flattering for people my skin tone, or for people of lighter skin tones like Angie or Angelica Nikos, or I hope I said that right, that like more deeper tones, because it's like these deeper tones will work better. I feel like these are like more for fair to light people. Medium people can wear them just fine, because I watched my girl Stephanie or Babs Beauty Here's on YouTube video last night, so she got hers last night. I still haven't watched Morgan Turner's. I didn't want to watch hers till I, like, you know, made my own assessment and used the palette myself. So I was like, we're not watching Morgan's, but we'll watch, you know, Stephanie's, because, you know, it's Stephanie. Yeah, that's my reason. Don't ask. If it was good enough for me, it should be good enough for you. Thank you. So I have the Kaleidos Flower Plump palette. Now I know people might not think of this, but I feel like it was somewhat similar, because it has the mints and then it has the pinks. It's just it has more grungier like greens that you would find in a traditional melt palette. But see, if I cover it up, I feel like it has some of the tones in this one. And you might not necessarily need to get that, because it's like you have some of the tones in here and there, and then you have these other interesting greens that I feel like you wouldn't necessarily find here. So that was one I figured like people might not think about that they own in their collection that does have somewhat similar vibes. So you're welcome. I try to think about all possibilities in these, and worst comes to worst is like it could be like a a palette mashup or a palette combination, where you could add this palette to this palette for whatever depth you feel like you're lacking, or whatever greens you feel like you're lacking. Because some of these look like they're gonna be ashy on people my skin tone, which is another reason I got it, because I was like, look here, we need to investigate, we need to know. The brown people need to know. So I was like, I'll take one for the team and I'll do it. And then if we like it, then, you know, I'll throw one in my Christmas giveaway. So next I have the Tiny Marvels from the late great Mel Thompson. Y'all know she remade a palette that she felt like should have been retro, since, you know, the retro that Natasha gave us that I showed y'all earlier is not it. So here's what her palette looks like against it. I wanted to show it because I feel like some of the colors she picked in her palette were like similar to the bundle she made. And I'm going to show the bundle she made with Sydney Grace in a minute of all the Sydney Grace singles. But this is what it looks like. As you can see, she has some of the shades in here that were in the palette that she made. You see she has the green. She has some more peachy tones. She has some of those like ashier taupey shades to wear with. So that's why I want to show her palette alongside this palette, because I feel like it had some similar tones. Not exact, but I feel like it had some. And if you're a Mel Thompson lover and fan, I wanted you to think maybe you should use this palette as opposed to getting Natasha, because I'm telling y'all, they keep playing with this gas price. I came by the gas station by my grandma's house on the way to get here, and it was like $4.40 like the night before. I was leaving on my way back home like 3 hours later, and it was $4.39. I'm like, what are y'all doing? What are we doing? I don't know. I guess because I work so far away, I'm always mad about gas. That's why you always hear me talking about gas. I work an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half away from my house. So having to do that every day, 5 days a week, to me gas is like a huge thing. So that's why I'm always talking about gas. Because I know y'all probably be like, girl, like it's other inflation things that's going on. I know, but girl, gas. I remember gas was $1.99 when I was in high school. I'm like, what happened? Where did that go? Can we get Bill Clinton back in office if that's what he takes? Like, I didn't. Anyway, here's the bundle from Mel versus the actual Retro Glam palette. As you can see, I feel like a lot of shades he has in here are similar to this one. So me being me, I'm actually might be doing some swatches and comparing both of these. I was thinking about doing a video where I do swatches and comparisons, just like a TikTok of it, if you will. So I'm probably gonna do that, and then it'll be a reel on YouTube and it'll be Instagram. I'm holding it here for so long so you can pause and you can compare the shades if you feel like it, because I don't think I'm gonna have time to swatch in this video too. We already been sitting here for 10 minutes just me comparing all the palettes, all the other palettes. But I want you all to see Mel Thompson bundle, so just in case you love Mel as much as I do, you might want to get this instead of the palette, because this is only $50, whereas Natasha's $69, and you get an extra 5 shades in this, because Mel's palette is 20 shades and Natasha's is 15 and $69. Even if you bought it during the sale, which made it I think $59, I heard people tell me, you still have to take into account that there's an extra 5 in this, and this is going to a good cause. It's going toward Mel Thompson. So you can use the code Fancy Face to buy this. That's Tina the Fancy Faces code. You can actually also use that code to buy her collab that she has out with them right now, the Tropical Color palette. But I just wanted to show off this bundle and set. I'm actually going to do a battle of this one with the retro palette in this video as well. But we're going to start off just using the retro palette because I know that's what you came here for. And then if you stay tuned for the Mel Thompson one after fact, then that's fine. I'm going to do some swatches on my hand off camera while I do this one eye. Let me zoom in real quick and cute. I'm going to do swatches on my hand off camera with this palette to compare to this palette just to see. And then when we get to the Mel Thompson portion of the video, I'm going to probably leave the one eye on. I'm trying to decide if I should do a different look just for the Mel Thompson one, or if I'm going to do the same look for and just try to recreate the look with Mel Thompson's palette. We'll figure that out when we get there, but I'm gonna go off camera now so that way we can use this palette now. Then I'll come back and we can talk about what we're gonna do about that. And I'm gonna give you a little story time about some stuff going on, but I'll be right back, girl. Okay. Hey y'all, so this is the eye look I came with the palette. Y'all know I'll be layering shimmers and everything else, so that's what we're doing. I didn't see any shades in this palette that are similar to the one in the retro palette. So I'm sorry, the retro glam palette. I don't see any shades in the retro palette that's similar to the retro glam palette, so that's why I don't have the swatches on my hand. So again, that's good. We can go into this palette now, but I will say I am going to do swatches comparing the shades I have on my lid now, in addition to the shades that we're actually going to use with Mel Thompson's palette compared to this palette, because I'm going to go ahead and do that in this video. Because why not? I am a huge Mel Thompson fan and have been for a while. I still talk about her, you know, and say the late great Mel Thompson. I'm sure you've heard me say it in a few videos. So, you know, we're definitely going to compare Mel's palette to this palette. And I will have swatches on my hand of whatever shades I use, in addition to the swatches of the shades that I used from the Natasha palette in the first look. Even though I'm thinking about just using these same shades and seeing if I can get the same look from Mel's palette that I can get from this one. But I feel like I can't, because I feel like the green in this one is deeper than the ones that Mel chose in her palette. So I'm thinking I might do a separate look. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into what I did in this look. So I used this shade Fade to dust over everything. I used the shade Evergreen, of course, because that's the only dark outer V shade I had an option for. I used the shade Holly over my brow bone. I used this shade in my inner corner. And I used this shade right here, which is Flare and Flutter on my lid. So that's what we got going on to create the eye look you see now. Evergreen surprised me because I thought it was going to be lighter than it is. And so did Faye. I thought it was going to be lighter than what it is. So we'll see how well, you know, the rest of the shades work out. But I was pleasantly surprised about the depth that they went into. But I mean, a lot of eyeshadows oxidized, so it could have just been the oxidization of the shadow, not necessarily that, you know, the shades that they picked were friendly for my skin tone. But I felt the need to point it out and talk about my astonishment by it all. So next we're going to take the shade Holly. That was the shade Faye. Taking the shade Holly, that's the one I put on my brow bone. So I had to use some of the lighter pinks in this look somewhere. So I was like, I'm going to put it on the brow bone. Because otherwise I feel like the only place I use these shades is on, you know, like my lid. This is much too light for some of my skin tone. Dust that on there real quick and cute like. I was looking at the Kirsten Dominique palette, but my whole thing is like, it looks really similar to that coral one she just came out with earlier, which is why, excuse me, I ended up not getting it. I'm just taking a clean brush and dusting off all this stuff so far. But that's why I ended up not buying it initially. If she has a good Black Friday sale, I'll probably buy it just so I can compare it to that palette. And then we'll have a 5 brands to dupe itself and all that. Because I like her formula, I like her products. It's just, I don't know, I feel like she's hit a rut and she's just trying to play it safe with all these like neutral palettes. And it's like, I want her to do something colorful and fun like she did with Celestial Thunder or Celestial Storm. And I feel like I'm not getting that. So I'm just kind of like, Like, I liked her Papa Blue palette that she did at the moment. I bought that. I did a review on her. It's just, you know, I feel like she's like playing it safe a lot with the brand, and I'm like, we want fun, we want color, we want more than just neutral tone that everyone makes for us all the time because they're playing it safe. I don't know if she's playing it safe because of the economy. I don't know if it's because she's not inspired, but it's like, Kirsten, I need some more color and fun from you. Like, I need it, and it's like I feel like I'm not getting it. And it's like, I love the brand, but it's like I need more than, you know, what she's giving. So it's like, Kirsten, I need some more. So as you can see, the shade Evergreen is like darker than I thought it was gonna be, because I was expecting it to be like lighter than it is on the lid. So at least it's like showing up and giving me a little bit of definition. I mean, it's not giving as much as I was hoping it would, considering how dark it is in the pan, but it could just be the cream is dark in the pan, and once you like blend it out, it obviously gets lighter. But I don't feel like it's giving the depth that I would prefer it to have. But you know, a lot of brands are playing it safe now, and they're making color stories that don't necessarily work for like people my skin tone, and more for like the majority, because you know the economy's bad, and they know that the majority usually has more earning power than people my skin tone. So that might be why, and they're making a lot of these palettes that don't necessarily work for my skin tone, but they work better for the majority. That's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I'm just giving my opinion on this palette. But you know, based upon the colors that Mel picked, it's like, it seems like it's about the same color story. So like, that's what they had in mind for the palette. My whole thing is, did anybody Natasha Denona see Mel's palette and they just decided that they were going to go with it since she's no longer with us? Because I hate to say it, but in the back of my mind, because corporations are so shady, I always think stuff like that. Like, so since you knew the woman was dead and you knew you weren't going to have to pay any royalties and nobody's going to come after you in the suit because her husband isn't being on social media. He said that when he came on her social media when Mel passed away a year ago in September. So it's like, did you just see an opportunity and seize it? And I hate to sound like that person, but it's like, I feel like I'm not the only person that was thinking that. I'm just the only person who's like, I've heard say it. But again, I haven't watched everybody's video, so I'm just like, well, I saw Makeup Craze on Instagram. She was talking about, she was like, someone Natasha's PR team saw that Mel made this palette and knew that she had passed away, and so they just stole the idea. I was like, if you didn't take the words out of my mouth, ma'am, if you didn't. Because that's literally what I'm sitting here saying now. It's like, that's what I thought when I saw it. I was like, so you just saw Mel's video on this palette, and then you were just like, yeah, she's no longer with us, so, you know, nobody else is going to make it. She wanted us to make it anyway. That gives us permission to just, you know, take these colors and do it. And just change a few variations of it. Because I feel like it's just very few variations changed, like the deeper greens. Because I feel like she put more deeper brownish colors in as opposed to greens. Anyway, we're going to take the shade Flutter now. We just got done with the shade Flare, that dark pink one. And, you know, what is it now? The only thing is with this front shade in my crease, I feel like I'm not going to necessarily have a shade in Mel's palette that might match this shade. So that's my issue with making this shade. And plus, it's like I'm going to use some of the other green shades in here. So I'm thinking about doing an all green look with Mel's palette, and maybe just putting the pink shimmer on like the lid. I think that might be what we end up doing as opposed to the look that's on now. But I feel like it would be so much easier for me to do this on now. And then if you want more content with this palette, we can do a battle of the, and then I can do like the more deeper green shimmers and like mid-tone greens and all that, just as I look on its own. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do still. I still don't know after having set it up here and talked to you this entire time. I don't know. I'm going back on the shade Evergreen now, with the deep green. Just kind of like build it up and kind of airbrush it alongside the shimmer that we put on it. So we're gonna do that. So that's looking pretty good. So let's go with our inner corner shade, and then we will have finished this look. Then I will go off camera, swatch these shades, and swatch the other shades I'm going to use with the Mel Thompson palette. So this inner corner shade definitely seems to look more silvery, if you will. But, you know, it's cool. So, as you can see, this is our finished eye look. I'm going to just go to the one I actually put the eyeliner on. I'm going to take a picture of this little cute look real quick. I'm going to swatch these shades next to Mel Thompson shades first. And I'm going to go in and figure out what shades I'm going to use with Mel Thompson shades. And then I will come back and we will have our second eye look. And then we'll have our thoughts about that palette and Mel's palette. Even though you will have seen my thoughts about Mel's palette earlier, because I'm actually gonna have this video go up. It's I think it's 6 o'clock, that's my normal time that I do, and then the video where I did Mel's palette against the mini retro palette is actually gonna go up at 12 o'clock. So you will see this video after you see that video. Anyway, I need to go get my life in order. I'll be right back, girl. Okay, y'all. So here are the shades from Natasha's palette versus Mel's palette. So this is the shade in the inner corner from Natasha. Y'all know the drill. From Natasha, then Mel, Natasha, Mel, Natasha, Mel, Natasha, Mel, Natasha, Mel. So this is Green Mist. I remember that one. This one is called Flutter. I forgot what is the name of this one in Mel's palette. Hold on, let me flip it over real quick. Something sucks about it being a magnetic palette. It doesn't have a name on it, so I have to look. Okay, so that's Golden Rose. So The pink is Golden Rose, and then this one is Flare. This shade right here, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I know the one from Natasha is Holly. Let's see what the name of the one from Mel's palette is called. The one from Mel's palette is called Fairy Tale. So Fairy Tale, Holly. And then we have the two greens. This is Evergreen. I'm trying to think what's the name of Mel's shade. Evergreen and Turtle Bay. So Turtle Bay, Evergreen. Then we have, I swore I remember the name of that one. I just did the video on these yesterday, but like with all the stuff I have to do all the time, forgive me, I don't remember the name of that one either. So this one is called Aim High. So Mel's is Aim High, and then this one is called Paladina. I believe is how you say the name of it. So as you can see, some of the shades are similar, some of them are not. Like some undertones I like better. I like the undertone of Natasha Silver better because this one has more of a lilac-y, rosy type purple undertone to the silver. But I like Mel's green better because Turtle Bay I feel like just has that deeper green, and this seems to be more of an evergreen grayish green, and I prefer a true green. I like either one of these shades is fine because it's just a brown bone shade. I do think I like Mel's shade a little bit more, Honey Rose, just because I feel like it has like a peachy pink undertone to it, whereas I feel like Natasha's is more of like a fuchsia pink, and I'm liking like the fact that this has a nice shift to it. And then I like Green Mist over the shade Flutter just because I like the minty green type shades to it. So I want y'all to see both of those before I take them off the eyes, just in case I decide to change eyes, because I still haven't figured out what I'm gonna do to put Natasha's palette up against Mel's palette. So I need to go off camera, swatch some stuff, get my life in order. It's like 11 o'clock now. I'm trying to leave here by 12:30 so I can get home at 1 o'clock. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I'm gonna go off camera. That I've shown you the swatches. Let me hold my hand up again just in case you want to pause it, screenshot it, whatever you need to do, so you can see the comparisons of some of the shades. And I will be right back. Okay, girl? Okay. Okay, y'all. So this is the second look we did for the Natasha palette. Here are all the swatches comparing Natasha's palette to Mel's palette. So again, Natasha and Mel, these are the two first ones to use the first time ever. Well, sorry, no. This is Faye, and then this is one from Mel's palette. Let me open Mel's palette so I can remember the name of that one. Let me see which one I spelled. So Faye is the first one because it's from Natasha's palette, and the second one is Moon Landing. So Moon Landing is the second one. As you can see, none of them are the same. It's Evergreen, and this one is, I forgot the name of it already, y'all. But I already told y'all this. So Turtle Bay. Then we have this one from Natasha's palette. I believe that one is named Sage, and the one from Mel's palette is Honeydew. I do remember that much. Then we have this deeper shade from Natasha's palette. Let me open it up because I don't remember the name. That one is named Jazzy, and then the deep one in Mel's palette. I thought I remember the name of it. I thought it was Beyond, but the matte is named Beyond. No, this one is Rover. So this is Jazzy and Rover, and then this one from Natasha's palette is Oz, and this one from Mel's palette is Hopeless. Is Keep It Up. Sorry, no, Keep It Fun. That's what it's called. Sorry, Keep It Fun. Then I have y'all know I did Flutter again for the inner corner, and then I have the shade Green Mist. So those are all the shades from Mel's palette versus this one. As y'all can see, I just went to balls to the wall green with everything because I want to see how all the greens perform. So I figured it'd be a good chance to see how Mel's greens perform or Sydney Grace's greens perform up against this palette. So I did use a more pigmented base this time. The first time I did it, when I used Natasha's palette, I just used Natasha's base. But this time we're using just a generic light colored base to make sure that all the colors pop on both palettes as much as we can have them. So we're gonna start with Moon Landing. That's what I'm gonna put in the crease. Keep It Fun is going to go toward the front of the lid, and then we have Rover going toward the back of the lid, along with, I forgot the name of the green shade that we're putting as a matte shade, but you know, let's get into it. I got different brushes to use too, so you can't say I'm using the same brushes. So I'm starting with the shade Moon Landing. That's when I just dusted like all up here and everywhere. So I want to see how these differ, because I feel like the one in Natasha's palette is a little bit deeper and has more of a cement look to it, whereas I feel like this one has more of a stone color to it as opposed to cement. So we're blending both of them together. See, I just feel like Mel's looks a little bit lighter than Natasha's. Maybe when I get the rest of the shades on, it won't look like that, but right now it just looks like that to me. Sorry y'all, the brush fell on the floor because I knew I felt something hit my foot, but I didn't know what it was. It was the brush. Because brushes love to fall while you're trying to film these videos. They're very disrespectful and rude. Next we're going to go into the outer V shade. I think that, I'm pretty sure that was called Turtle Bay. So I did remember. Let's go into Turtle Bay real quick. So I put that on the outer V, the dark green. I like the green Turtle Bay a little bit better than the one in Natasha's palette. I just like the more vibrance of the green. I feel like hers is like a little deeper, ashier, like grayish green. I feel like this is more like a true green, so I like it a little bit better. It blends out nicely. I mean, the evergreen is extremely matte, and obviously this is a matte powder like formula of an eyeshadow, so that's gonna be the difference in these two. Obviously, I feel like the color holds up better than this one. You see like how I feel like this one's faded? I feel like this one looks pigmented and nice. Now we'll see if it oxidizes as I go on with the eye look, but for right now I feel like it's giving, you know, nice pigmentation. And it's giving more vibrant green than the one in Natasha's palette, which, you know, I'm here for, because it's going to be green. I want it to be green, not an ashy gray green that turns, you know, into that muddled mess that you see on the side. It works fine for other looks when you're doing the pink, because the pink is accenting well, but because I'm using all green, I'm feeling like it's not giving what I wanted to on the outer V, because I want it to be darker green and lighter, and as you can see, it's just looking like a faded, like dark green grayish type mess. So I'm liking Mel so far in that regard, just because of that. Put that brush up there so we don't confuse the brushes. I need to grab another clean brush to compare these two. Get this one. Y'all put two brushes out. So since you insist on coming out with the other one, we'll just use it. So just take this clean brush and just dust over everywhere, girl. That's not all that down here as well. I was sitting here drinking a milkshake in between, like, doing this video and doing the eye looks. Now we're going to take the shade Honeydew. That's the green shade that's going to go in the crease. This green is much brighter than the one in the palette from Natasha, because to me this is more like a true, like, bright green, whereas that one is more of a turquoise green. I like both greens for different reasons, but for this look I prefer the Natasha's green over this green. But as weird as this, I like the green in Mel's palette when it comes to the deeper green over the green in Natasha's. But I feel like green in Natasha's works well for what's going on now, because since this turquoise is oxidizing just like the other one is, I feel like it's not going to look as good. So Mel's is looking better now just because I feel like her colors aren't oxidizing, but I feel like the ones from Natasha's are. And so it's looking like a jumbled, just grayscale mess on the eyes, for lack of better terms. But it could just be the color combinations I put together as well, because you all have to remember I'm not a makeup artist, so you know, that could be why. So this is what they're looking like side by side so far. As you can see, a lot of this just looks like a dark gray, dark bluish gray steel situation going on. Trying to keep the brushes separated. Remember what brush goes with what. Okay, we're gonna take the glitter glue now and cut my crease, and then we're getting into the get on here. Whatever. That's so much better. So y'all have technical difficulties for oh, I remember what happened. I put the wrong top on top of it, so it had the eyeshadow base on it instead of the glitter base on the top, because I was trying to figure out what was going on. I put the wrong lid on top of it and actually screwed it on, and then realized it was the wrong lid, so that's why I had my eyeshadow base on top of it. But we're just taking the glitter glue and cutting right now to get the comparison going on this. So let's give it a nice soft subtle grunge, if you will, for lack of a better term, like I said. Let's go in with the shades now. So I'm going to take the shade Rover now, the dark brown one, and put that on the outer V just like I did on the other eye. I feel like Mel's color is a more chocolate brown, and the Natasha Denona one is more of a like coffee bean brown, if that makes any kind of sense. That's the vibe that the colors give me. So just bring in probably like halfway right there. So this is what we looking like so far. I feel like they look somewhat similar, but I feel like the opacity of Mel's is standing out a bit more, whereas the ones from Natasha are oxidizing. But I am doing this one live versus that one. So let's go on with the other shade now. It's called Keep It Fun, and we're putting that toward the front of the eye. So That's just gonna go on the front and blend in nicely with the brown to give us a nice gradient that we have on the other side. On this side with Mel's palette. So this is what we're looking like. As you can see, I feel like you can definitely see the vibrancy between Mel's palette and the Natasha Denona palette. I'm just putting a little bit of brown over to try to make it blend out a little bit better, and then we're gonna go back in with the green, of course, to make that blend in a little bit better, to make everything blend in a little bit better. I feel like Natasha's transitions a little bit better than the Mel one when it comes to the colors, but it's not enough to where it's like I would say I like Natasha's better, because at the end of the day I feel like Natasha's is fading and looks kind of muddy, and I feel like I can see a clear distinction in all the colors with Mel's versus with Natasha's. So bear that part in mind. Okay, so let's dip back into the shade Turtle Bay and put that on out real cute light. Take my clean brush and dust the stuff in. Now we're going to my inner contour shade, which is called Green Mist. If you don't remember, I'm going to take Green Mist now. I love the shade just because it has that mint like undertone to it, along with the soft iridescence that it carries in the inner corner that I feel like just gives me life. So that's what it looks like versus the Natasha Denona palette. So it's back on up and talk about my thoughts about the Natasha Denona palette as a whole, and then we'll talk about it in comparison to Mel's palette. So without further ado, girl, let's get into it. So where's Natasha's palette? Here it is. Okay, so comes in Natasha's palette. I'm pleasantly surprised with how the colors worked. I feel like a lot of them actually worked for me that I didn't think were gonna work for me. Like the dark green, I feel like it might not be deep enough, but it was actually deep enough for me to make an outer V color and make it work well enough for me. Like the shimmers in here work really nice. So this is like the standard Natasha Denona quality pigmentation when it comes to her midi palette. It's not like Zendo or what was the other one people don't like, the pastel palette. It's not the formula like that. This is the standard quality formula that she puts into the average midi palette, but since it's her holiday collection, it should be that. Plus this is one that people begged her for, so she should have came with it, and she came with it. So it's good quality. I plan on using it some more, testing it out some more, because I haven't tested all the shades. I tested the ones that I felt like would work best on people our skin tone, so you could get an idea of how you would feel about it. But you know, I like it. I think it's nice. Let's get into Mel Thompson's palette now. So I feel like as far as value goes, obviously we know Mel's is going to be a better quality, a better value for the price, because you gotta think you're getting 5 extra shades here, and you pay the same price as you would pay for Natasha's palette on sale. So Natasha's is normally $69, and it's $69 now because the Sephora sale is over. So you would be getting a better deal by buying Mel's, because you get 5 extra shades. You only pay $60 for all the Mel's, and then you can use the code FANCYFACE and get a discount on top of it, which would bring the price down to I think $59 with taxes and shipping, which I think is a hell of a deal. So I would say get Mel's bundle instead. If you really like Natasha and you're a fan of Natasha's formula, you go ahead and buy it. Then I would say wait till like Black Friday to see if you can get a better deal on it if you didn't buy it during the Sephora sale. But I like Mel's just as much as I like Natasha's. If not, I think I like Mel's more because it gives more variety for people my skin tone. But those are my thoughts. I think both of them are good. It's just a question of preference and your morals and what you want to go for and buy. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.